Right, just a few points here now about this latest news that's appeared today in the Independent, and apparently senior Tories tell Theresa May to work with Jeremy Corbyn as only hope to save her Brexit deal. Well, for the next election general in Britain, okay, I was going to break my 30-year policy of not voting for any of the corrupt politicians set before my eyes, because there wasn't even one of them that was really prepared to deal with the real issues as far as progression is concerned. It's always more of same old, same old, same old, dished up with a little bit of this or a little bit of that added or taken away. At the end of the day, you're still stuck with the brutal destruction of everything that men like my grandfather and grandmother gave their lives and worked so hard for and suffered for so much for. And that Britain, that culture has been completely annihilated, not by immigrants, but by successive Tory and Labour governments since Thatcher, okay? And she is the last in a long line of criminals. Now, this woman really does belong in jail. I'm sorry, the whole of this Tory government, lock them up. Okay, they have murdered 120,000. These are the official figures. 120,000 British people. Sorry if I get boring by keep on harping on about it. Harping on about 120,000 British people dead directly through their economic so-called policy, actually terrorism. Okay, leaving people destitute and homeless, terrorising disabled and sick people. Sorry. Jail. She belongs in jail. They have committed manslaughter. Okay? It is criminal manslaughter. They knew damn well what the impact would be. And even the United Nations have heavily criticised this government and the utter destitution that they brought onto British people. They've dumped this Brexit, this referendum on us, giving people 2 months to decide something so important. People being bombarded with absolute packs of lies. The BBC absolutely failing to present the real concerns. Until after the vote. Then the BBC started expressing the concerns, but not before, because they didn't want to appear biased. I'm sorry, if people are about to walk off the edge of a cliff, I expect the BBC to warn the public about it. And the fact is, as the 700,000 plus people marching through London recently showed, is that a vast majority of the people who voted Leave, who now have since been fully informed about what a dangerous world it is out there when it comes to making trade deals for food, for example, and to such a degree that, the jewel in the crown of the welfare state, our NHS, is being offered on a plate to American health insurance corporations in order for a food deal from America, so British children can be eating food that actually is banned in the EU because it's that full of pesticides and growth hormones and who knows what else. So, I've got this to say to you, Jeremy Corbyn. If you work with Theresa May to save her Brexit deal, that's it. You will not be getting my vote. I will continue in my stance of refusing to vote, okay, for traitors. Traitors to the people of Britain, all of you. And I don't know how you can even sit in Parliament facing this woman who stands with Saudi Arabia, everything they've done in the Yemen, and what they're doing to their own people, and we've witnessed it now with what's happened to Mr Khashoggi and his brutal, horrific death in full public display, and still she's standing by him. Okay, she's still standing by Saudi Arabia, and we have this nerve agent thing going on. really vague suspicions that Russia was actually responsible for it, but nonetheless 23 Russian diplomats instantly expelled, and yet here we witness the horrific murder of American citizen, and oh no, she's still pally-pally with Saudi Arabia on what, on the pretext the same as Trump probably, oh well, they give Britain money, they're buying bombs off us. What is that? Is that what Britain has come down to? That we're a nation that produces bombs? That regimes like Saudi Arabia, that starves children? I tell you, I don't know how you can sit opposite her. She's a war criminal, and she's committed crimes against humanity, human rights, okay? And that evil government, Cameron, even turned out that the EU were offering Britain £22 million, okay, a year to stock Britain's food banks because of what this government was doing with austerity, and Britain refused. Cameron refused 22 million that the EU was going to give to British people who were struggling to buy them food, and Cameron refused it. Not just once. Why? Why? Because they didn't want British people to be getting anything from the EU. They wanted the people to hate the EU. Why? Because we know what it's all about. It's about scrapping our rights. That's why they wanted Brexit. Scrapping our rights. May never wanted to remain. Cameron never wanted to remain. If they wanted to remain, why did they give us the vote in the first place? Because the EU refused to back down on the rights and regulations that protect our environment. And they want to scrap our human rights. And that was why, even though I haven't voted for politicians, I did vote in the EU referendum, because I care about the future of the children of my country. And I was not prepared to leave Britain in the hands of this corrupt criminal cabal that is presently sitting in Parliament under the title government. They have utterly destroyed Britain. They have destroyed our economy. They destroyed people's hope. They've infected the public with division and hate and lies. And we know that the bulk of the Leave campaign was Tory ministers who directly hired Cambridge Analytica, a global intelligence corporation that resorts to the methods of blackmail and bribery and entrapment, and set them loose on the British people, gathering our Facebook accounts. This is what they are about, and she's a liar. She never wanted to remain. Cameron never wanted to remain. Osborne never wanted to remain. They were all of them playing devil's advocate, and any European... France wouldn't have fell for it, because they're far too savvy. But the British people have been kept dumb when it comes to politics and the games that they play. They're only just starting in France to implement the policies that Britain swallowed from Thatcher how many years ago. And look at them in France, out in full force. No, sorry, we've had a taste of it. We want no more of it. Go away. We're on the tail end of that. You know, this is what a hard Brexit is offering. Patients needed to stockpile own drugs. Okay. Councils told to set up food resilience teams to prepare for shortages. I mean, councils can hardly sort out the roads and the bins, never mind providing food for the people. Okay. We are terrified for the future, say young people, as Brexit crunch talks fail again. The Tories are using Brexit to get rid of human rights, warns Amnesty. Yes, they bloody well are. So, you know, these things are very serious. And I will say to you, Jeremy Corbyn, that far from working with Theresa May to save her Brexit deal, the only thing really you can do, in all decency, is to explain to her that no, now it has to go back to the British people, because the EU have offered to cancel Brexit, Okay, it's given Britain the option to cancel Brexit. It isn't either we accept the deal or we have no deal. It's that we either accept the deal, have no deal, or we have another vote to cancel Brexit and just carry on where we left off. Okay, because carrying on where we left off is far better than this Brexit deal. Oh, the Brexiteers won't be happy. But I'll tell you one thing, the Brexiteers won't be happy if they do ever get their hard Brexit and it finally hits and they suddenly find that the wages are slashed in half because the pound has halved to 50p. Do they think their wages are going to double then? No, of course they're not. They're being told, oh, yes, but houses will get cheaper. So never mind people that you're paying 150 grand mortgage on a house that's suddenly only worth 70,000. Never mind about that, okay? Never mind that interest rates will be going up and your pound will be worth even less, and that actually to get a mortgage of 75,000 you'll be paying exactly the same amount of money as what people right now are paying for a £150,000 mortgage. So nothing is going to change there. Jobs will be slashed. And our food from America. So, you know, apart from the immigration issue, which even that, sorry, no, because every corporation can bring in as many workers as they like, can't they, from abroad? That's the fact of it, isn't it? So it's time the British people woke up to reality, and a lot of people have. A fair portion of the people who voted leave have since changed their minds. Now they've had time to understand the realities of the situation. And they regret their decision. So put it back to the British people now. Let them choose. Do you want a hard Brexit or do you want to cancel Brexit? That has got to be the choice now. Because nobody wants this deal, this Brexit deal. It's completely ridiculous. We're neither in nor out, but we're paying this. And sorry, no, it's too uncertain, it's too insecure. So if you are a leader worth your salt, Jeremy Corbyn, worth my vote, okay, then you will not help her save her Brexit deal. You will not leave Britain to face a hard Brexit. You will insist that the British public, as a democracy, have their right to another referendum. And precisely because the people were lied to, and precisely because Cambridge Analytica was involved in undermining that referendum. Because you're talking about a foreign global corporation stealing people's data off Facebook, targeting individuals, spreading lies to people. Well, this is the truth, isn't it? This is the truth. That British people, nobody explained to British people that as part of the EU, Britain gets really cheap subsidised medicines as part of the EU market, and that when we pull out, that's going to end instantly. And where are we going to get our medicines from? And how much more are they going to cost? How much more are people's prescriptions going to cost? Nobody's talked about that, have they? No, that'll be left to hit, won't it, when people have been persuaded to chop off their right legs on strength of independence, because that is what is going on. Okay, no, do we want to be expecting the council to be providing our foods? You know, these are the facts. These are the facts. Workers' rights, human rights, believe it, they're all there on the table. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this woman belongs, she does need to be arrested. David Cameron needs to be arrested. You know, Jeremy Corbyn, have you checked out Gordon Bowden? Have you checked out Gordon Bowden and the information he's got on David Cameron's financial crimes that he really should be charged, arrested, charged and standing trial for? That he's robbed British people of their pensions? Have you not read your own constituents, your own voting electorates evidence? And this is what I mean about you politicians. You're all up there in the air, sailing on the hot air of the BBC and Channel 4. You know, I noticed Channel 4, they had, what? There was like a handful of people, a handful of people stood there, we want a hard Brexit. It's like, sorry, they do not represent the British people. 700,000 plus marching through London. They represent what the British people want. And that is why the British people need another referendum. Unless you're going to ignore those 700,000 people and the 20 plus people that support them that couldn't make it onto the march. That's the fact of it. Now you people are either going to wake up to reality and you're going to stand by the British people and honour our democratic rights, okay? Because there's people in this country, we will be very angry if this Brexit goes through, okay? If we get this Brexit shit deal off this criminal murderer. That's what she is. She's a murderer. David Cameron is a murderer. Ian Duncan Smith, a murderer. We've had to bury the dead. The bones the corporations have spat out when they gave them our benefit system to control. How dare they? You fuckers is what she is. And you stand by her, you work by her to save her Brexit deal. You can fuck off, Jeremy Corbyn, and every fucking politician that stands in that evil den of iniquity you call Parliament. We want a vote. We want another referendum.